us. Thank you for being patient. Good morning, third grade folks. Today is Friday, December 11th, and we have made it through another story of the week, and we're ready for our weekly test. Make sure that you use your test-taking strategies. We'll go over that at the end, and then you have Lexia time, and then you have lots of reading time to take care of you. So let's get moving quickly. Our story this week was called Pushing Up the Sky. It was a Native American story. It is part of our question of the week, where it is explaining things that happen in nature. In this story, in the Snohomish culture, they wrote a story, a myth in their culture about how the clouds went up into the sky. So we know that that was for entertainment because it was a story, and we see in the story that the characters were animals and people that were doing the actions. So that means that it's fiction, so it's entertaining. Our story this week, the genre was a drama, which we've enjoyed saying all week. That means it's a play. So we got to talk about some text features and story elements too in that play. There are three biggies in reading for this week. The first is a prefix for your word work, spelling and phonics. A prefix is a group of letters that go to the beginning of the word to change a word that you already know. The example on the screen is the word belief, if you believe something and understand it. But if we add the prefix dis to the front, it means disbelief. It does not believe it. You can't believe that. Our prefixes this week were things like un, re, and miss. And we're going to use some of those words on our test this week, and I'll show you in just a moment. Our comprehension strategy was story elements. The book called them literary elements. These are the parts of a story. They include the characters, the who or the what the story is all about, the setting, which is the when and the where the story takes place, and then you have the plot. And inside the plot is all the action. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and then the solution is how you solve it. The plot is the beginning, the middle, and end of the story. And lastly, vocabulary words for this week. There were 6 of them that you practiced yesterday. Antlers, imagined, languages, narrator, overhead, and poked. We did a pretty good job yesterday on that activity where you had to find the missing word. So we are just about ready to go. Let's take a look at what your test looks like this week. It's in the Google Classroom underneath Friday 12-11. When you click on your activity, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. Hang tight. I think my computer's slowing down. I had this ready to go, and now it's stuck. So we're just going to wait just a moment. Here we go. Is it letting me do it? Of course not. Let's go a sec. Let's go a different way and see if it works. Sorry about that. It brought me to my teacher side because some of you have already taken the test before the learning, so it throws off what my teacher side looks like. Trying to get the student side up so you can see what the test looks like. But if we have this lovely spiral of stress, I'll just pull up the other one. Okay, hang on. I'm sorry, third grade people. I'm glad that I pulled up our resources before we got started so this wouldn't happen. While I check this again, and the screen's going to get kind of weird, test-taking strategies are really important to how we take these tests. When you have a test, you have to read all parts, you have to read all directions, and you have to make sure that you're checking your answers. Here we go. So this is week 3 in our Reading Street activities. It reminds you to answer the questions carefully. After you submit your test, you cannot change your answer. Some of the questions and directions have this listen box on it.
Answer each question carefully. Answer each question carefully.
I know.
After you submit your test, you won't be able to change your answers.
Not everything has this box, but if this button is here, please use that so it has the directions all clearly laid out for you. When you're ready, you press start. And then as your test starts, the directions will stay on the top of each question. Section 1 is called vocabulary. The directions to the vocabulary section or part. Find the word or words with the same meaning as the underlined word. Click the circle next to the answer. The theater became dim before the start of the play. Which one of these means dim? Very bright, crowded, small, or somewhat dark? Go to the chat box and tell me what dim means. Does it mean A, very bright, B, crowded, C, small, or D, somewhat dark? The theater became dim at the start of the play. Think about going to a play. Think about going to The Pack by John Harden. If you've seen a performance there, think about going to a movie. What happens to the lights before the activity starts? Do they get bright? Does the theater fill up with people? Does the theater magically get small, or do the lights get dark? You guys are correct. It gets somewhat dark. So you're going to click on the D, click in the white space, and go to the next question. You have 5 more vocabulary questions. The directions stay on the top of the screen. This one says, Kim, please pass the ladle. Why does it say ladle? That's not one of our words. Did I click on the wrong thing? You know what? Did I just click on the wrong thing? Hold on. Oh, Miss Signorino, it's quite a Friday, isn't it?
It's a Friday.
You know, though, shout out to my 3rd grade people. If you guys watch this back later, you're going to laugh at me because you got the correct answer, and that wasn't even one of our words this week. So that just shows you how brilliant you are. We're going to try that again. It's week 2. Just kidding, not week 3. But the plus is the directions are all the same. So you're still going to press start, and you're still going to go to read the first question. And then you're going to see words that actually meet the activity that we're doing this week. This one says the deer's antlers look sharp. Funny enough, it's the same answer. The deer's horns are what look sharp. So you'll click on the letter and then go on to the next question. My goodness. There are 5 other vocabulary words this week. The directions will stay on the screen so you know what to do. This one says, Jesse imagined the story. Go to the chat box. What does imagined mean? A, wrote, B, listened to, C, copied, or D, made up. What did Jessie do to the story if she imagined it? A, she wrote it, B, she heard it, C, she copied it, or D, she made it all up. Nice job, 3rd grade people. Funny enough, the answer is also D. She imagined it, so she made it up. She saw the pictures in her head and she created it. So you're going to keep going through your questions. There's 6 vocabulary this week. Question number 7, like it says on the bottom, it wants you to find the prefix. Now remember that the prefix are the little parts of the word at the beginning of the word that change the meaning. So it says, my dog always disobeys me. What's the prefix? Dis, obey, a's, or s? Now, there's 2 things that we can do. Yeah, go to the chat box. There's 2 things that you can do to answer this. A, you can think about, what were the prefixes that we used this week? Or B, we can remember the test-taking strategy. If the prefix is the very beginning of the word, I'm going to look for the answer choice that has the beginning of the word in it. My word is disobeys, and the beginning of the word has the dis, D-I-S, which is one of my answer choices. So that's how I know. Sorry, you probably can't even see it. That's how I know that A is the right answer. Dis is one of our prefixes, D-I-S, and it's the beginning of the word, and it's the answer choice that's a choice. So if I go to the next question, the folders are mislabeled. Think about what is a prefix we talked about this week and what letters are in the beginning of the word as a test-taking strategy. Mislabeled, labeled, label, ed, or miss. Think about the prefixes from our skill this week and think about what the beginning of the word looks like. The majority of my friends say D, which is correct because miss, M-I-S, is at the beginning of this word. That's the prefix. Use that same test-taking strategy to answer the rest. This word is uninterested. Number 10 is redo. That one's kind of tricky because it's a short word. Redo. Is it do, read, re, or the whole word? Redo. The prefix. It's the part of the word that we added to the word we already know. It's at the beginning of the word. Is it going to be redo? No, that's the whole word. Is it going to be a, do? Nope, that's the end of the word. So now my choices are B, read, or C, re. The prefix is the part at the beginning that's added new. Re is added new, so that is answer choice C. Do is the word that we know. Do's, it's called a base word. We didn't talk too much about that this week, but we've done that in the past. The base word is what you start with. So you can say, I'm going to do the project, but now I've added a prefix. I'm going to redo the project. I'm going to do it again. Find the prefix and click the button. Dishonest is number 11. Misspell is number 12. Be careful with that one. Question 13 is where our comprehension section starts. Your passage is called The Tree House. And it's the same genre as our story of the week. This is a drama. This is a play. In the top, it says setting. The story takes place in a tree house at night. These bold words are the names of the characters. Lindsay and Jen are the characters in our story. So it looks long because there aren't very many, there aren't paragraphs like you're used to in a story. There's lines of dialogue. That means that's people speaking. So each line is on a new line. The words here in parentheses, remember yesterday we previewed in math what a parenthesis looks like? That's where we get extra information. So that's what's happening here. And then after you read it, your directions are underneath the passage. Choose the item that best answers the question about the selection you just read. Click the circle next to the answer. So when compared to Jen, Lindsay is what? You're going to read the paragraph, read the passage, and see which one of these words describes Lindsay. Lindsay is happier than Jen, sadder than Jen, less afraid than Jen, or more afraid than Jen. You'll find out that information when you read the passage. You'll click your answer, and then you'll go to the next question. Remember that for the comprehension parts, the passage stays on the top of your screen, just like on the map test, so you can go back and check your work. And then the question is underneath. Based on Jen's second speech, sequencing words a clue. Second speech, what does Jen think about Lindsay? Jen thinks Lindsay worries too much. Jen thinks Lindsay is too cool for having a sleepover. Jen thinks Lindsay is afraid of her brother. Or Jen thinks Lindsay tells good ghost stories. You're going to have to go back in the passage and find that. There's 8 of those. Question number 20 is the last one. The passage is still here. What effect, cause and effect, does seeing David have on Lindsay? So we have another character in the story named David. And after Lindsay sees David, what happens? Is she still afraid? She doesn't want to tell ghost stories. She tells David to go away, or she tries to hide that she was afraid of him. So you have to go back to the passage and find out. And then after question 20, the next button is the review. So it has that I didn't answer these questions. The question that I skipped, I click view question and then go back. And then down here, I press the submit test button. And when I press the submit test button, it gives me my score. I didn't finish the test, so my score is not very good. It tells me all the things that I need to work on because I missed some questions. And then it says the things that you did really well. So I guessed on the cause and effect question, but I got it correct. And then if you scroll down, it tells you how many points you get, which is pretty cool. And then there's your score. So that's your test for this week. You're going to take your time. I know I talked a little bit long to give you directions, but you're going to take your time. You have until 9:45 for reading. And if you need more time, you have the rest of the day. Okay, but your goal is to be finished or take a break at 10 o'clock for math. So this is your check mark for your Google Meets. and they're going to go to the Google Classroom to get today's activity. And then if you have time, you're going to Lexia. Ms. Falone, my test took too long. I didn't have time for Lexia. That's fine. You'll have time later. In the middle of this, we do have some Mr. Bill meets to read about whales. Here's your passage again. Angel, Caden, and Jet are up first, and then we have a math break. I'm not going to see those friends today, and I'm going to keep this screen up. Ms. Signorino has the attendance sheet, and she's going to go down the list of the friends that are still here to check on our cards so you know what you need to do. But before that happens, I'm going to stop recording on the meet, so nobody needs to leave. If you leave, you don't get to choose your card until later, so please hang around for just a minute for our service project. This is the end of reading. Check mark on your Google Meet, and I'll see you shortly.